Hello again. So this is going to be the last part of the statement that I submitted to Suffolk Crown Court and the representatives of John Dance, outlining the coordinated coercion that I've been facing in the latest act of state terror. I've alluded to the coordinated coercion throughout the email series on my other channel, which I can't access, but details are on this. So it's at Gary Stockdale 171. So back to the statement. South Tyneside Council have been asked repeatedly why younger daughter, uh, who was very proud of her Polish heritage up until the 3rd of December 2021, suddenly lost interest thereafter. She was indeed very, very enthusiastic, enjoyed speaking the language, enjoyed the culture. Her mother and I were very proud of that. She had a good relationship with her grandparents. And it's logical to ask the question why that stopped in their care. I've outlined why I believe that is. It's quite a pattern you see throughout the country. It's this emotional manipulation, and I guess you would call radicalization of children against their parents, and to almost strip them bare emotionally to make them cash generative assets that fit the long term care order model. So Side Tyneside Council have been given uh, many opportunities to provide a response to this, refuse to do so, and I'll be publishing lots of opportunities they've had. And Essentially, um, we're in a situation where we've not been able to go forward, um, and nobody's been able to ask younger daughter independently this question. We're not allowed to raise it to her. We can't ask it to her. They say that's emotional abuse. They are, of course, allowed unfettered access to her. We're not allowed to put forward anyone independent who can raise that question. And you obviously know the answer why. The original threats via Deirdre Ryan via a parental review were instituted in the form of a 50% reduction in access. That's correct. We were raising these issues of racism, institutionalized racism at South Tyneside Council, and the cultural genocide of our younger daughter. And prior to that point, we were given access of twice a month. They never liked this and used us raising issues of racism and cultural genocide as to punish us. They halved the uh, the access to once a month. Of course, nobody's allowed to ask a younger daughter whether this is her real wishes. They keep saying it is, it is, it is. Nobody independent, credibly seen as independent, have been able to ask her that question. When we do, we're immediately threatened and bullied. Subsequent threats have been made by Deirdre Ryan and Lewis Anderson, the latter via older daughter, that if I continued the investigation into FCA failings via wealth tech and the promotion of private assets, read the private equity involvement in the care system, which I've outlined significantly through these videos, I will be barred from seeing my younger daughter altogether. So in essence, then that's where the coordinated coercion come in. So started off with the FCA bullying. It's latterly now come. It then came from the local authority saying that because essentially these lead to the financial system, and I've outlined that the involvement of private equity in the care industry, the sort of emotionally cleansing of children to remove any sort of emotional attachment to their families, to manufacture them into um, privately, sort of cash generative long-term assets for private equity. I've outlined that. So that's essentially what I mean with this. So yeah, as they both lead to the financial sector, as they both lead to private assets, as they both lead to the Pisces trading platform, not exclusively. But if anyone denies this, we'll be watching very closely on the businesses that trade on this platform, because we believe there has been lobbying from private equity who are active in this model that want this platform, because it provides an opaque trading model which you can hide all these things. It's very much more difficult to do it on a public market where the disclosure and reporting requirements are much higher for the reasons I've outlined. This statement has been initially provided in handwritten form, now verbal form, as I fear for my safety and the destruction of further evidence. That's self-evident. We were subject to state terror. Lloyd, officer 1812 of Northumbria Police, forced his way into the property, seized devices, and it was being done on this mendacious allegation, partly on this mendacious allegation by Rachel Hudson that I spray painted a car. It's absolutely not credible. She hasn't got anything to prove it. I certainly didn't do it. No interest in doing it. And Lloyd has actually responded to my emails today, and I'll do some separate videos pasting that in and my response to him. So effectively, I don't feel safe. I've outlined extreme corruption in the regulatory system and now extreme corruption in the care system, the complicity of a judge, how evidence is manufactured. We'll go further into that. How statements were provided unsigned and so on and so forth, as I've outlined. So you can see why I'm doing this. I'm trying to provide a digital record because I fear for my safety. At present, I must rely on the public computers as my devices have been seized. I believe this is to prevent the publication of further evidence. Of course it is, yeah. I think you can probably get a flavour for the way things are. I haven't provided a typed copy of this statement yet, but I will try to do so. I don't believe it'll be accepted because I think this whole thing is being manufactured in a way to make sure by one means or another I won't be around for the wealth tech trial. So either they will imprison me by some sort of bizarre evidence, physically harm me, or put me into a state of such stress that they believe that I will do it myself. Then they will say that I'm mentally ill and so on and so forth. And I've made those observations to the crisis team and provided the NHS with a record of my concerns. So notwithstanding safety and matters of liberty, a typed statement will be produced as soon as practically possible. Again, I've just made that point, so that doesn't really require any further explanation. As I say, Lloyd has responded. I think he's aware that the stress he's putting on us. These devices, some of which aren't even owned by me, he knows that full well. This is part of a campaign to put myself and my wife under intolerable pressure because we've identified corruption related to a judge. So in terms of Hudson, yes, I stand by the claims that she's acted with complicity in terms of racism and corruption. These matters have been brought to her attention. I will publish her response and the emails between us, and also emails from Jane Poulter from South Tyneside Council admitting that that the statement was not effectively not countering the fact that there wasn't a signed statement, just saying that it was accepted by the judge. So effectively, confirming what I've outlined to you here. So there's a lot to go yet. Speak to you soon.